A house divided against itself cannot stand. Abraham Lincoln.
Everyone knows the story of the Civil War. The North won and the South lost. Abraham Lincoln was President of the Union and Jefferson Davis was President of the Confederacy. But does anyone really know in detail their parts in the Civil War? Abraham Lincoln was a major role in the North's victory even though he never went into battle. In those situations, he would just sign a paper allowing people to invade, but just because he didn't participate in the battle doesn't mean he didn't participate behind the scenes, which, because of that, makes him a better leader than Jefferson Davis.
Abraham Lincoln was a better leader than Jefferson Davis, and one of the reasons is because he always kept an open mind. Jefferson Davis had a narrow mind, while Abraham Lincoln had an open mind, and in a very strong way he showed this was because he had more than one advisor at all times. And the reason is because those advisors would always have different beliefs and battle tactics, and not exactly battle tactics, but more as just how to strengthen the Northern Union. And he would always listen in, because if you just had one advisor, then you would always be stuck with his advice, which didn't give you a lot of options. But with more advisors, he would have more options. But it would also cause conflicts, because people would start to argue and debate with each other. An interesting story is between Secretary of the Navy Gideon Welles and actual Abraham Lincoln's advisor William H. Seward. They would always debate, even though they never made face-to-face contact. Always hear Gideon Welles criticizing William on his ideas because Gideon felt that William was a little bit more soft and less risk-taking, and Abraham Lincoln admired that, which is why he became one of his advisors. But he never really had them agree to stop fighting because he knew that their ideas would eventually help people and the Union.
America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedom, it is because we destroyed ourselves. Abraham Lincoln.
In the beginning of the Civil War, Lincoln feared that the border states would leave the Union, so he had to think of a way to stop them.
The only thing he could think of which was arrest the representatives of these border states that were in D.C. and made sure that they could vote on leaving the Union. This idea seems extreme, but this was the only idea Lincoln had, and on November of 1862, a bill was placed that would allow Lincoln to not only arrest the representatives, but also the people in the North that supported the war. Against all discrimination on March 3rd, 1863, the bill was passed.
As the Civil War kept going, Abraham Lincoln feared that the South would get stronger.
Abraham Lincoln so feared that the South was getting stronger within the Civil War, and perhaps maybe the North would lose. So on September 22nd, 1862, Abraham Lincoln finished his documentary called The Emancipation Proclamation. It would allow blacks to participate in the Civil War, and within the first month, over 1,000 African Americans joined the North's war, and because of that, the North received recognition from other countries and support, and they cut their losses to the South. This also gave slaves a reason to rise up, and because Abraham Lincoln realized that the South's economy and war efforts were all based around slavery, and if slavery was getting weaker in the South, the North would finally have a chance to stop them. By the end of the Civil War, over 500,000 African Americans joined the North in the fight over the Confederacy.